We are back with our 10 things you need to know about series. This time we've got Tua Tagovailoa. The Alabama quarterback is projected as a top 10, probably even top 5, maybe number 1 overall pick. For this list, I've picked out some interesting stories, and at the end we can go over some draft analysis. They say Tua came out of the womb tossing a football. And growing up in Honolulu, he slept with a football instead of a teddy bear. When he was younger, he was a great outside linebacker and didn't play QB until the actual quarterback got injured. By the end of high school, Tua was already being called the next Marcus Mariota, a Polynesian quarterback ready to take over college football. Tua developed his skills through extremely tough discipline. He had 2 rules growing up: the Bible and the belt. If Tua didn't perform well in school or even on the football field, he'd suffer the consequences from his father Nalu, who always dreamed big for his son, but was clearly willing to push him in different ways than most kids growing up nowadays. Nalu was one of the few in his family who threw lefty. So when he had a son, he kept placing the ball in his left hand. Although naturally Tua was more of a righty, his father said, it just became fluent and he just grew into it. That's the crazy part about it. I never thought I could make him adapt to that. As we constantly kept putting the ball in his left hand, eventually he grew into throwing the ball with his left. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there are currently 0 left-handed quarterbacks in the entire NFL. So yes, Tua will become the first one in a few years. Is there any reason to worry? Not really. The ball may spin differently and maybe some scheme changes are required. But I mean, Steve Young was of course a lefty and he made the Hall of Fame. Even Nick Saban said this: I know you have to change things a little bit from a schematic standpoint relative to protections and things you do on offense to accommodate a left-handed guy. Maybe a little bit more than it would a right-handed guy. With Tua's success so far, the lefty thing sure is a weird phenomenon, but according to his receivers, it doesn't take long to get adjusted. Before we get to our third thing, we've got our first sponsor here on Chase Chats. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. They give you a score from 0 to 10 with green signifying a good deal and red meaning a bad deal. I've got the app on my phone and I can say it's the best way to get tickets, whether it's the XFL, NBA, or even a concert. And guess what? You can use my code CHASECHATS, that's no space CHASECHATS, for $20 off your first purchase. I've got the link in the description where you can go get this great deal right now. Tua has said, our team was USC growing up. I used to be number 11 because of Matt Leinart. He was a lefty as well. Back when Tua was in high school, USC head coach Steve Sarkisian flew over to Hawaii to deliver a scholarship offer. The LA Times said there were whispers about him silently committing to the Trojans. There wasn't much doubt that USC was the heavy favorite to land him, but when Sarkisian was fired in October of 2015, the family must have started to think twice about the Trojans. Then just months later, Alabama defensive coordinator Kirby Smart was announced as the head coach of Georgia. This made Jake Fromm flip his commitment from Alabama to Georgia because he wanted to play for Smart. Now Alabama needed a quarterback and focused their search on Tua. Other schools were in it late, including Mariota's Oregon Ducks, but in the end Tua went with the school that would give him the best shot to win national championships and the best chance at the NFL. The Tagovailoas are becoming quite the football family. Nalu played college football at Santa Rosa Junior College, and after Tua committed to Alabama, his family decided to move there. So his little brother Talia finished his high school career playing in Alabama. Talia then followed his brother to Alabama as a top 10 dual threat quarterback recruit. Now in 2020 with Tua gone, the starting spot is open at Alabama. And in a crowded quarterback room, Talia elected to not transfer and instead compete for the job. He'll be a sophomore, and although he may not be the favorite to start, he'll certainly be in the mix. The two brothers also have a cousin who plays on the D-line at Notre Dame, and another one playing on the O-line at Navy. Early on in his freshman year at Alabama, Tua was growing increasingly frustrated about playing behind Jalen Hurts. Former Alabama offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin even said, Tua thought that he should be the starting quarterback and had outperformed Hurts in practice, and Coach Nick Saban never gave him an opportunity. It got so bad that Tua called his dad and asked if the USC offer was still open, even with the family already moving to Alabama. Tua said, I wanted to leave the school, so I told myself if I didn't play in the last game, which was the national championship game, I would transfer out. Although he was a freshman and getting concerned about playing time, it sort of sounds like he was getting ahead of himself. He was probably thinking about how if he was out playing Hurts and not starting now, then what are the next few years going to be like? And the answer is, well, a heck of a lot better than they would have been at USC. After Hurts was benched in the second half of the 2018 National Championship game, it was all up to Tua. And as we all know, he swung momentum the other way and delivered an all-time game-winning overtime pass. The thoughts about transferring might have been coming to an end for Tua, but they must have just started to begin for Hurts, who eventually went on to play at Oklahoma. Still, something happened in the third quarter of that game. The Tua Tagovailoa Wikipedia page was created. From there, his legend ran rampant. There was even an extra edition that has long been deleted saying he was widely considered the greatest quarterback of all time, and guys like Tom Brady are mere peasants compared to him. Well, knowing my comments section, some of you probably agree. Also, I have to throw in how Nick Saban apparently came up to him after the championship and asked why he took the sack right before that game-winning play. Tua thought he was safe enough to joke with him and said, well, we needed more room to throw the ball, coach. Then Saban looked at him and said, that's not funny. So Tua apologized and shook his hand. In 2018, Tua started for Alabama and ended up finishing second in Heisman voting to last year's number one pick, Kyler Murray. Tua got revenge in the semifinal after out-dueling and eliminating Murray, which ended up making some people beg for the Heisman vote to be moved until after the playoffs. With the championship in California that year, Tua's family still in Hawaii was able to make it out for the game. And by Tua's family in Hawaii, I mean 400 plus family members all attending the championship. So I'm sure you could hear some Hawaiian Roll Tide chants that night, which they apparently say, Owili Kaha. Tua battled multiple injuries in the 2019 season, including an ankle injury that required surgery and a dislocated hip that sent him out for the season. Sadly, that play happened on what was supposed to be his last series in the blowout win. Tua is on pace for a full recovery and should be ready to resume football activities around mid-March. That means he won't be able to participate in combine workouts, but will be able to show scouts something substantial before the draft. The 2019 NFL season started off with the famous Tank for Tua mantra among the fan bases supporting terrible teams. The combination of the injury and Joe Burrow's success has sent Tua down in the draft boards, but early picking teams are still going to want to take their chances on a guy this talented. In fact, ESPN's Todd McShay says Tua is better than Burrow. He called him Drew Brees from the left side, saying it's not necessarily running, it's just how quick he moves inside the pocket. Just like Brees, he processes quickly, he sees it, and his feet are tied to his eyes. Other draft websites praise the same thing. So there's really no question Tua has an NFL caliber feel for the pocket. Perhaps his best strength, though, is his accuracy. In his final season at Alabama, he completed over 71% of his passes and threw for 33 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions. Because he relies on mobility, and the word I've seen described most is twitchiness, there's got to be some concern that he'll lose a little bit of this after having that hip injury. And even if the hip turns out fine, Tua has had other injuries throughout his career that have somewhat slowed down his production. Besides injuries, maybe the only real knock on him is he doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen rocket arm. He can certainly still fling it, but when we're talking first round or top 10 picks, everything's going to get scrutinized. Alabama quarterbacks haven't made much of a dent in the NFL for a long time. In almost every mock draft, he's projected to go the Dolphins, but obviously trades can happen, especially if a team falls in love with a quarterback. And Tua is pretty easy to fall in love with. I certainly think, and I'm sure just about everyone else does too, that it's a sure bet he's going in the top 5. If you enjoyed this video, then please like it and sub it up. This channel has been growing very fast lately, so check out my other recent videos too. I'm really enjoying the new subs, and I appreciate the support.